The topic tonight is every child a unique Shevet, a unique tribe, a unique approach. Right? That was the. Again, as I said in our speech today, that I have a lot of experience dealing with the boys and trying to connect them with the parents back and forth, and we have a lot of experience, hands-on experience, doing this for many, many years. So there's a common belief that every family is a style. This family is Hasidish, let's say. This family is this Hasidus, Litvish, Yeshivish, all kinds of types. This is how the family works. And everybody wants it to be that way because everybody wants to, it's easier. Let's say you're a Gerach, so you want to have your children to be the same and everything the same, the Gunim, the same in Hagim, the same thing, and then it's easier for the family and it seems more, it's nicer and everything. But we all know that it doesn't work like that all the time. Many times we have different children and everybody has their own route that they want to take, how they want, even if they're Ehrlich, and I'm not saying even challenge kids, but stam. The children want to grow up in a certain way that they, whatever pulls them, if they're Oved Hashem. The problem is, there was a Machavrisa has a brother, a Chassidish man, and he has a brother that is an older boy. Chassidim, older boy is 22, 23, forget about it. The parents already davening by the Koisel, and Mezuk ganz Tillim, and Shir Hashirim, it's already, they're mamish. So one day he told me, of course not in the middle of learning, it was after learning. So he tells me that his brother is getting older and his parents are very concerned. And he was thinking an idea, there's a girl down the block, a family, they have a daughter. And she's also an older girl, 21. And he wants, maybe if I could be the shadchan to take this boy for this girl, I should call up. I said, no problem, just give me 2 names, I'll call. I call up this woman, the mother of this girl. And I say, my name is Shloime Ehrlich, I want to give you a suggestion have a shidduch suggestion for your daughter, this and this boy. And she starts telling me, do you know my daughter? I said, no, I just heard some, more or less what type she is, and this and this boy is like this, he's like that, this midas, good midas, and I was telling her, she was like so excited, it's exactly what we're looking for. And I go on and on and on and on. And she says, okay, which Hasidus is he? I said, he belongs to this and this Hasidus, Puppe, ich weiß. And she says, no, shidduch is not for us. I said, why? We're Vizhnitz. What do you mean? You can't. I said, what are you talking about? She says, no, it doesn't work. My husband sings all the Vizhnitz songs, Shabbos by the table, and he's not going to know the song. You can't. That's where it ended, basically, the shidduch, and I felt bad for her. I know that not everybody is like that extreme, but there is a point here that we all have a certain image, a certain design in our brain, how we want our families to look like. And although we're not everybody's that extreme, but at the end of the day, in our family, we don't wear long shadels. In our family, we only wear long skirts. Alamina, it's like I think that in 2019 this has to stop. It has to stop because it's creating issues. We have our girls, they're going to schools. I have a large family and my kids going to different schools. I mean, the girls are going to school and the boys to the Chayde. There's a certain motto, the way the school works, a certain model, what they're into, what it's not, what's considered tznius in this school is in a different school considered the goy, the other way. Everybody has their own zach. It's very nice. But to say that every child, because they went to the same school, they're the same. One of my daughters likes to wear a different color, let's say nail polish. This child wants that. Am I going to fight it? What am I going to create? I'm going to create rebellion. The child is not going to want to go along. There's in the Torah it says, Yaakov Avinu, Pashas Vaychi. Yaakov Avinu was the father from the 12 Shvutim. He gave them the Berchus Yaakov, right before he was Nifte, he gathered all his kids and he says, I'm going to pass away and I want to give all of you a bracha. But we all know it wasn't just a bracha, it was a mission statement. He was telling all this, he called Reuven, and he's giving him a whole Misa Shmuas at exactly what his mission is in this world. And then Shimon and then Levi, and he was such different, Yisaschi, you go learn, Zavilni, you go to work. And he wasn't just talking to them, he was talking to their children, the Shevet, the whole. He understood that every child has a total different mission in this world. It says, Titein emes liYankov. There was Avram Avinu, Yitzchak, but they were all very stuck, or so to speak, fit in a certain mahalach that had to be. Yankov Avinu is Titein emes. He was much broader. And emes is Aleph, is the first, Mem, and then Sof. In other words, he understood, according to Chassid Shurim, he understood to all the levels, all the Alevites, different levels, different Madragas. And he was the one that was able to be the father of Klal Yisrael, to have Klal Yisrael. And what came out? You had Shevet Levi. And in Levi was split, you had Kahanim, Leviim. It was never like we're all the same. It never worked that way. Each and every one of them got a different mission. They all had different natures. They were very different beings. And this is something that, for some reason, got lost throughout the Gulas, that parents are very stuck that our kids need to be the same and we need to take the same approach. Certain children, besides of their nature, they have some kids are driven. One child is a thinker, the other child is a feeler. Let's say one child is more of an extrovert, an introvert. Different types of kids, so different types of mahalchim fit for them. The problem is when we create an image before we get married. All of us have a certain. I want my children to be b'nei Torah. I want my kids to be like there's a whole, which is very nice. It's good to create some kind of plan how you want your family, your mishpucha to be ehrlich and nice and healthy and very good. But you need to understand that it's not always that all your children are going to grow and become and be the same exact like their father is, their mother is. It's just not going to happen that way. And even more so in 2009, in our age, there's too many kids that are very different than the parents. It used to be a little different, I guess. It's just different. I think all of us, whoever has children, or many children, if you see when they're born, you see right away one child always gives away their snack, the other child knows how to chop the snack from the other kid, and they make negotiations and they argue. Every child is different. We're all born with a very different nature and different thing. There's a family in Borough Park that has 18 kids. Can I know that? I remember when I was a child, they were already up to the younger kids that were my age. And each and every one of the children over there is total different. One is a Litvish, one is a Lubavitcher, one is a Belzer, Allah mina, like. And some people say, Safamishta mishpucha. It's like, it's a mixed up family. It's like, and I look at it total opposite. I know the parents, and I know the family. I mean, I've seen many of the brothers and the sisters. All of them grew up beautiful, very successful in their own communities, wherever they came to be. The parents gave them a unique chinuch. What's meint Yid, how to be Yid, how to be a mensch, and that's it. And from there on, you take it whichever. One child, his nature and his homos worked with Chabad. He went to Chabad. This Chabad is great for him. The other kid, it went to a different place. It was good for him. It's everybody has their own unique place wherever it was pulling them. It doesn't have to be the same. So each child grew up different. But to say that they're confused and it's a bad, fakert. I want to tell you something. The Baal Shem Tov, the Heilige Baal Shem Tov, had many Talmidim. And you look around Hasidus and today, it's only a fraction. Without Hitler killing the other Hasidus, would have had hundreds of types. We're so different on one hand, but the mission and the idea. You look at the Baal Shem Tov, he gave a mission. He had a message for the world, but he never told his Talmidim exactly how to do it. He gave them ideas. There's a Sefer Tzuvus Ribash, many different things that he stood for, messages that he had for the world, and he gave it to his Talmidim. Some of them were from Polish, from Hungary, from Romania, from Chvais, from Russia, and all of them took it in their own ways. You look at the Sfurim, the Chassidish Sfurim, one generation later, 2 generations later, it's like so different, their ideology, the way they look at things, but there's always a common denominator. There's always a common thing that the Baal Shem Tov gave a message. He never dictated that all his Talmidim have to be the same and relay the message the same way. He had a message, he gave it over, and he said, "This is it, take it." There's a pusik Chemish. Chemish says, "A mitzvah shliach haken." It says, "Shaleach teshalach esuem v'sabunam tikach lach." You should send away the mother first. If you want to take the eggs, you send away the mother first. You take the eggs like this. She doesn't have the tsar. So he says that we could learn from this something deeper. The Marnaim says it. The Talmud from the Baal Shem Tov. He says, "Shaleach teshalach esuem." You should, when you go to a rebbe, when you go to a teacher, a mentor, you should throw away the M. M is ledrush. In the Gemara language, M means like a mother, something that's fruitful, a Torah that you can learn something from it. So throw out all the Torah and all these nice things. It's important but very nice. As abunim take home the banim, the tamtzas advurim, take home the message. And that's what the Baal Shem Tov did. He has a message and he gave it out. He did not, nobody wrote all the Torahs from the Baal Shem Tov. There's very little written from him. We only have from his Talmidim, the Svurim that they wrote. And you'll look at it, you see there were mamish, totally different, opposite. Everybody wore different levush, everybody had different clothing, everybody had different message, total different, opposite. You look at from Chabad today till Breslov, to all of them, it's mamish shimel. Before there was even more, there was tzanzich seed and all kinds. They were very different. There's no need. Klal Yisrael never felt that Klal Yisrael has to be the same. It has to be like a certain, like soldiers, everybody's to be dressed the same and march the same. It doesn't work like that. As all that they're working for the same melicha. Klal Yisrael needs to have all kinds of people. We need to have all kinds of missions and all kinds of things. And that's why it's very important to understand that there's all colors and all types. But it happens in families also. So now, when you have a child that's challenging you, you have to work on this idea even stronger, even deeper, because you need to understand that this child has a very unique mission in this world. This child has something. Hashem put this child into a, regardless if they were abused or whatever caused or seemingly caused them to become this wandering soul or this searching person or this whatever it is, confused soul. Whatever it is, it was there, it was made, it was sent by Hashem. He wants this child a whole different mission. There was, I once heard from Dr. Pelkowitz, maybe some of you know the story, it's a Moedige Masa. He said that he once had a Zayda, a person called him up and he said, I have one of my children that's very challenging and this child is always different. All my kids are very special and this child is always, I think he needs therapy, there's something wrong with this child. And maybe you can see much. I said, Dr. Pelkowitz said, sure, gesundheit. He comes in and he starts analyzing him and he sees the child is a regular healthy kid and he said, what's the issue? He said, I don't know, I just want to go to work, I'm very into money and I want to dress a little more modern, I'm very into my looks, I'm not, some men have a little tendency of looking a little more, and he had nothing more than that. So, Shine, he calls up the father and he says, your child is a healthy child, he's just different, just not, he says, you don't understand. This son is a Magachir and this is Shiva, this one is a Rav and this daughter is a principal. My wife is this and this is the only child, there must be something wrong. Dr. Belkowitz is thinking, what is it going to do here? There's nothing. So he says, you know what, out of the blue, he doesn't even know why he thought about it. He said, you know what, how about you come together with all your children to the office next visit, together with your son, with this boy, and we'll discuss it. And he said, by the way, you have parents, there's grandparents? He said, yes, your family's close, yeah, bring them along. Fine. The whole mishpucha walks in Dr. Belkowitz's house. I don't know how many they had over there. Magachirim, malamdim, teachers, everybody walks in. And Dr. Pelkowitz says, I want to tell you guys, I want to break the news. Every person is different, and this child is even more different. And this child wants to grow, you all have to start respecting this kid. You have to be loyal to this kid, you have to understand that this kid has his own mission, he has his own life, he has his own, he's and the father started saying it's not true, maybe we could do incentives, that he should want to learn more, maybe he should. And Dr. Belko said, what are you doing? Not everybody's made to learn, and we know there's Mekayris, the Chidah brings that if a person sees that Gemara doesn't work for him, starts learning halacha. Sometimes halacha is the thing, like I rather liked halacha always more than Gemara when I was a book. Every child, if this doesn't work for you, maybe Mishnah Yisrael, maybe Torah Anista, maybe Torah Anig, whatever works for you, that means that your neshama has to do that. Not everybody's made to do the same exact. So Dr. Belkowitz is telling them, I know exactly this word, the different words like this. Suddenly the Zayda, the grandfather, standing there and he says, I want to talk a minute. Can I talk? Go ahead. He says, I want to tell you something, my dear son, and my dear Einiklech over here. Before the war, I came, your Elter Zaydi, from a very, very special family. We're all B'nai Torah, Litvische Yidden, alles Chushev, Torah. I was the same like this Einikl. I was the dropout. I was the one that went to work as a teenager, and I wasn't into all these things like the whole family. And of course, my family started rejecting me a little bit and this and that. And because I was working, there was no smartphones, but he was into the news and he was listening and he saw there's a Hitler coming and this. He said, one day I came and I told my parents, I said, I'm leaving to America because there's a war coming. He said, what are you talking? Just learn, we're going to Torah takes away all the desires and everything, just don't worry. And he said, I'm packing my bags, you guys could come along if you want, if not, Samig is in the Shabbos. He packed his bags, he came to America, and he says, my whole family, brothers, sisters, parents, everybody perished in the war, and all of you are here only because of me, the dropout of the family. All of you B'nai Torah, and all of you are here only because of that. Dr. Pelkowitz is right. We need this. Let him be. Let him be. You never know. They were lucky enough to have a story to see it, but it's something that we can learn from this, a Moedige message. We never know where a child, where the destination is, and also Hashem sees the big picture. Sometimes we look at our child and it's so painful to see a child doing bad choices. It's very painful. Hashem sees the big picture. He has a bird's eye view, so even more. He can see the next generation. If you see today, the biggest inspirers today, the biggest speakers today in the world are Balei Tshuva. And the other big inspirers today are the Chabadski that are working with Balei Tshuva. And because they're working with them, they have to become more advanced in knowing how to answer questions about Hashem and how to inspire people. And these Balei Tshuva, when they come from being from the world, from the outside world, and they take Yiddishkeit upon themselves, they are the ones that are able to articulate and to bring out all these beautiful messages about Yiddishkeit. Because of them, we created Eish HaTorah, and Eish HaTorah is making today, and Or Sameach and all these places are making more Balei Tshuvas from the FFBs from birth than Balei Tshuva by now, because we are the ones that are brought into a system, and we're learning, we're growing up and everything has to go this way. Now you have to sit, now you have to daven, now you have to do this. And the children today are asking questions, as we said in our speech today, and they're becoming, deciding, asking questions. Where did they go? Who answers the questions? The Balei Tshuvas. You go to, I don't want to say the names, but there's so many of the greatest speakers today are Balei Tshuva. People that, or people that work with Balei Tshuva, not. So now let's look back. There was an Alta Baba in the Haim that she had a child that went off. She was crying a harat, she was saying to him, she said, Hashem, why didn't you listen to my tefillas? And Hashem said, what moment, vartzi. Her children were born and raised in South Africa, Chabad Shliach Chapter, or Waizus, or maybe whoever it was. They went to college over there, and there was, I don't know, or the other, and became from. And now this kid, this Einikel, is inspiring thousands and thousands of Yidden around the world. Said, your child that went over the derech, it's not, Hashem made it to be in a way that he shouldn't even have an einish shemayim, because it wasn't his fault, it was influenced, or she was influenced by whatever, so she didn't even have a bechira. I'm just giving a mushal of how to see that sometimes Hashem sees the big picture. We don't see the ganze. There was many, like the other Baldash was saying before by Shalshidas, the woman were in there, he was saying that with Menashe, Chizkiyu HaMelech, he didn't want to have a child, and this whole, Hashem has his plans. We have to always see that there's a bigger picture. And we have to understand that sometimes a certain child, or many of our children, have to come up with something. And they're trying to experience life in a different way. They're trying to see things in a different way. So how do we do it? How do we juggle all these shvutim? How do we juggle all types of children in the same house? And then you still have the regular kids that are the cookie cutter kids, the way we call them, like the ones that are, they work along with the cycle, with the system, and they behave the way you want, they get dressed the way you want, and everything's fine. The non-challenging kids living in the same house as this child that's challenging you and doing all kinds of painful things in the house, and you're scared they're going to become influenced. I want to tell you something personal. I'm a second marriage. My wife's children, are raised in my house together, Baruch Hashem, together with my wife, and they're doing great. But they're being exposed to the other side of the family when they go there for visitations, to family that's not so religious anymore, to the father that's not so religious anymore the way we are. So in the beginning of times, there was a lot of people saying, they're going to be exposed, they're going to see different types of Yiddishkeit, they're going to see people, And I kept saying, it doesn't matter. I'm putting in the salad, hashkafa, salad al-drachim to all the kids, and they'll make smart choices. Baruch Hashem, they're all big teenagers, almost the shidduchim years, and they're all doing great. Not only great, they're better than the other kids in their class because they're open, they understand, they had questions they asked me. They've been exposed, they're not so, they could handle the world, even they're like tougher. Sometimes the kids that grow up in challenges and they've seen things, they grow up much more solid. I know the family in Muncie that had a child that was mamash on drugs and tattoo on one hand, and he was doing a crazy kid, hyperactive like you've never seen. And I used to, work with the father and say he was so worried about his other kids. I said, just make salads, your other kids, talk to them about Yiddishkeit and excitement, and explain to them that this kid is different and he has his mission in the world and he has going through his struggles. The other kids are doing amazing. Mamash, I'm looking now, after 10 years, I'm looking back. I was trying to think before Shabbos, different families that I helped in the last 15 years. They're doing amazing. These kids are growing up stronger than ever before. Our children, I don't know where most people come from, Borough, Williamsburg, Lakewood, Ichwais, Crown Heights. We have, all the kids are the same, they're going to the same chayda in the same place. If you look at the out-of-town kids, the kids that grew up in places where there's 5 kids in the class. I have a friend of mine that grew up in Vienna. Another person I remember, he was in Denmark. There was one Lubavitcher kid in the class, one Satmar kid, and 2 very modern kids, and that was the whole class. All of them grew up. He's telling me, like he's looking back, so solid, so strong. They grew up, there's diversity, there's different types of things. It's okay. Our other children are only going to become stronger by seeing the way you deal with this challenging child, with this child that's going through now their own, they're finding themselves, or some say creating themselves, or whatever you want to call it. It's only going to make them stronger. It's not going to, we're so worried by being mekar of this kid that fell out that it's going to ruin the other kids. That does not happen usually. It's the opposite. If they see you're not lost, you understand that this is your kid, this is your mission, and that's how it's the way it's supposed to be. We've seen Tanakh, we've seen the Gemara. Many families in the olden days used to be like this. It was every child was different. It was a given that every child is different. But now, for some reason, after the Holocaust, the way we set back Klal Yisrael, that it became that if I'm a Chabad school, all my kids have to be a Chabad school. If I'm a Satmar, it has to be that way. And this is something that we, the parents over here, are going to teach the world outside, the rest of the people that don't have now at the moment children that are struggling. They're learning from us a lot of things. A lot of the speakers over here that come, they get inspired by this Shabbos and the previous Shabbos, if they're not working hands-on with these parents and with these kids, they're the ones that are becoming educated, and then they go back to their kehillas and their shuls, and they look at life and at the family value. It's such a different image, and this is teaching the ganz Klal Yisrael, the rest of the Charai, the rest of the Frima Yidden. It's teaching them that you have to understand, Jeder is anders, and everybody has their own different way of seeing things. I want to share with you a story. There was a couple. It's a story from 15, 20 years ago, but it's a moide gemasa. There was this couple that the wife started after chasana. She wanted to be, keep a teen at risk as a girl, and she couldn't because of it. After the wedding, sometimes some kids push it off because the parents are so strict while they're teenagers, so they keep it in. You're not allowed to do this, and they're able to have control. But it plots after the wedding. That's very common in the high 20s and the 30s. There's a lot of people that go through their second teenage years. Then it's a whole. So this woman was going over the derech. She was dropping Yiddishkeit every day, more and more and more. And they had one child, a boy, and the father was a Shloime Ehrlich. And he had to divorce her. She stopped keeping everything that a Jew was supposed to keep at home. And he came to a boy. He said, listen, we can't live together. So they got separated, and he was getting ready to get divorced. She said, I'm taking the boy with me. He doesn't need to be Yid. This whole thing is baloney. Dropped the whole Yiddishkeit. I'm taking this child with me. And she meanwhile found a psagoy, a boyfriend in Chvaizi. She went, and he lives in Texas, so she wanted to move there, to go there with her boy and live with real low people. So he went to court. Obviously he's trying to fight. He didn't want his child to go over the derech together with his wife over there. He was fighting, and the law in New York State, I'm not sure in all the states, is that the children have to remain the same religious status as they were before the parents got divorced, after also. In other words, if one becomes a goy or if a goy becomes a yid, the child has to be until they're 16 years old. When they're 16, the child could decide whatever they want. I think 16 or 15. He won that, so he knew he had another like 5 years to go, 6 years to go with this kid, and the boy was with him. His ex went to Texas. She's living over there with these Harley Davidson guys, like real low people. And he has 5 years. The boy keeps on saying, "I'm going back to mommy." And she keeps on bribing it, telling him on the phone, "You're going to see, you're going to come." And so he has 5 years to go, and he's trying to put into his child whatever he could, that when he's going to go there, he should still be solid. So he's try to think for yourself, what would you tell this child? How would your Shabbos table look, and how would your relationship be with this child for the next 5 years, that when the child is going to go there, the child should not fall, the child should not drop everything? He started thinking, he educated himself, he started talking about Yiddishkeit, Yiddish history, and he's talking about all kinds of Gedolim. He's talking to, every day when the child came home from Yeshiva, from Chayda, he was talking to the kid, and he made a relationship with him. He took him out, he became buddies with the kid. Like this, when the child is going to go there, the child is going to call back all the time, until it'll be 18, 19, then it could maybe eventually move back here and drop the whole thing. Of course, the father succeeded. The child went there, and by now, Baruch Hashem, this boy got married. He's okay. But I was thinking about the story. I know people that know this. I know someone that knows this person. He says he wishes he could go around in the whole Klal Yisrael and tell everybody how to treat their children at home. Because we are living in Texas. We are living already in a place. Our children are already exposed. They could be exposed any second to the biggest schmutz in the world. In a second, they could be exposed to the apocryphals. I'm telling you, the Rabbanim think that the biggest issue with the internet is schmutz. It's a much bigger issue, apocryphals, and it's not even real apocryphals, but at least if someone is not educated enough, they get exposed to all kinds of shalas and kashas and Yiddishkeit. But if they're not prepared for it, they don't know how to deal with it. But this is a bigger issue. So we're already living in Texas. It's right over here. What would you do with your child to make sure that the child should not get exposed to all, should stay your friend, should stay in the circle, should stay in the fold, should stay Yiddish? Why can't we do it? Why do we have to wait till the child goes over there and then go, oh, the child's over there, now I don't have a choice? This is something that we have to work on right now. Can we do it? We said 5 more minutes, wow. Can we do it? Someone showed me by the door. Can we do it with our child that's a keep? Can we do it with a child that's what?
We know how.
If we know how, but if we do it right now. Try to think that your child is going to be moving to a midbar shemama, a place where there's no Yiddishkeit whatsoever. What would you do? You would talk to your child and you would give them Jewish pride. Regular Jewish pride, just being proud to be a Yid. What did the Jews do for the world? Regular stuff. Not even talk about Yiddishkeit. You would give them Jewish identity, you would give them the family value, you would give them the love, you would give them the connection. You would get connected to your child like your best friend. I have good news for you. All of our kids, not only our kids that are struggling, need us to become their best friends. Of course, it has to be with their cheretz. You're an adult and he's a child, I understand that. Has to be some boundaries. Obviously, your father. And the Rabbi in Chayda today has to become friends with the kids. When I used to go to Chayda, when I saw my Rabbi Shabbos and Shil, I was a kid, I ran the other. I was so scared of my Rebbe from Chayda. I was like in a pachet. My kids, they see their Rebbe, they run to him and say, oh, Shabbos, I saw my Rebbe, Chagizain. Baruch Hashem, they go to a good Chayda. But this is how it has to become. If we want to save the next generation, it's only the world is becoming more and more open, and there's more and more Texas over here, there's more and more of that kind of situation, that we need to understand that all of them need to get, and there's a few ingredients that every child needs to get. This is regardless of which Shevet they are, and regardless of what type of kid they are, what type of personality they are, like we said before. There should not be a minus. There's a minus if a child does not feel secure and stability at home. That's a minus. That child is a broken, shattered. He has to know that his parents, his mother, his father is here for them through thick and thin, and we're here for you. You're stable. You're in a stable home. You're and you're secure. You're safe. Safety is number one. And then, of course, a plus, which is not only a plus, it's a necessity, love. They have to feel connected to you, that you love them, you care for them, and we know what love is. What is love? Ahava. Ahavti eschem umar Hashem. Hashem said, I love you. What does that mean? Ahava is hav, is giving. I care for you. Someone could tell you I love you 1,000 times. But if they don't care for you, they're not in tune in your feelings and your needs, they don't love you. They need something from you. Loving you means that I care for you. And when you feel cared for very much, there's a feeling that ignites in you, and the name of that feeling is, I feel loved. Love is the name of a feeling that gets awakened when we give love or when we feel love. When we give care and we feel cared for. That's when you feel loved. That's when you're able to give. There was a Yid that came to Balatanya, and he said, Rebbe, I'm working on my avodas Hashem. I want to know what's more important, loving Hashem or loving Klal Yisrael. Ahavas Hashem is huge. Ahavas Yisrael is huge. Which one is bigger? The Balatani says they're both the same. He says, what does that mean? And what do I work on? He says, Uhavti eschem umar Hashem. Hashem said, I love you. I love Klal Yisrael. If you love someone, you love their children. You love who they love. So it's one thing. If you love Klal Yisrael, that means that you love Hashem. If you love Hashem, that means that you have to love Klal Yisrael. If not, it doesn't go like that. So what does loving mean? Klal Yisrael arayvim zeh lezeh. We have to care for each other. We have to give. We have to really, if a person hurt themselves, you have to pick them up. You have to care for another Yid. And we think doing mitzvahs and it's always outside of the home. It's like, doing all kinds of chesed. It's all at home. It's in the house. And all of our children, regardless if they're the struggling ones, if not, if they're the ones that are going through now, they're in different shvutim, different nature than you. I had a man that came to me, mamash, after Minchen, he's talking, and he says, how can I love my daughter if she walks in with a skirt, with a dress like this? How could I love her? I said, how could you not love her? What does a Yiddishkeit have to do with you loving her? She's your child, you love her. What's even telling you not to love this child? The child is not growing up the way you want. You love a child because you love your child. It's there. There's no other. Hashem Yisrael loves us regardless if we're in a high level or not. If we do Averos and Mitzvahs, it's a separate cheshbon. Hashem loves us and He wants us to love every Yid. Ahavas Yisrael and Ahavas Hashem is the same thing. And that's the second thing. We need to have love. And the third thing is, which is another plus, which is a necessity of a plus, is obviously self-confidence. You need to build them up and tell them how special they are, that you're able and you're capable. Self-esteem, self-confidence. They should feel that they have a dignity, they have something that they're worth for. Someone says, I'm not confident. If I would sit tomorrow into a plane, I don't want to drive a plane. You think, my wife trusts me, Baruch Hashem, very much, but you think she'll be comfortable? I never drove a plane in my life. So does that mean that she doesn't have confidence in me? She doesn't have confidence in me that I know how to drive a plane. But she has confidence in me that I'm a good father, maybe, that I'm a good husband, that I'm good this, that I'm good that. A person is not a confident person. If someone never cooked in their life, say, I'm not so confident in my cooking. Does that mean that you're not a confident person? So if that's the case, you could find in every child, even while they're going through all these interesting stages and all these mishagas that they're going through, you could still tell them, I'm very confident in you. You're a great driver. You're a great this. And you tell them, and you show them that I'm comfortable, even when you drive fast. I have a teenage son, I know what it is. And I'm like biting my tongue, like holding like that, and he's driving, and he's, on the highway. Because I felt that's the only place where I could give him at that time that I'm confident in him. You find somewhere where you give them, I'm confident in you. I love you. I care for you. You're important to me. I'm attuned in your feelings. I know what you feel. And then security, when something happens, I'm the first one that's going to bail you out. I'm the first one, me and mommy, they're going to be the first one that are going to be here for you, regardless if it's going to cost us money, if it's going to cost us headaches, whatever it is. You are secure. In the family, you are secure. You can have outside seemingly these kind of friends that they go out to party with, and when it comes to any struggle, they drop you in a minute. Tati and Mami, home is the place where you are very safe. This is the place where we care for you. This is the place where we love you and we care for you. And I think that to conclude, it's a shame, I wanted to say a few more things, but we'll have to finish. But the idea is that all of our children are a different Shevet. all of our children, the struggling ones, the non-struggling ones. One kid is going to come out of London, and one is going to come out a businessman. And one, if you give them one mission, the mission is be your best. Bring out the best in yourself, and whatever you're good at, I'll support you. This is what I'm here for you. Whichever direction it is, if it's in Ruchnis, in Gashmias, in success in any way, I'm here to back you. I want to give you whatever it takes. I'm not telling you which direction to go. I'm not dictating if you should be this type of Yid, if you should be that type of Yid. I'm not dictating that. We are here as parents to give you the encouragement to be matzliach in whichever works for you. What did they say? They said that there's a song in it that says, when you come up with Shemayim, they're going to ask you, did you give it all you've got? That's all they're going to ask you. Did you give it all you've got? So all of them are given something else. Everybody's a talent. Everybody's their own brain, and everybody has something to give for this world. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. Hashem created all of us here for a reason. And all of us have some mission over here. Sometimes the parents at the moment cannot see, what is the mission of this kid? This kid is sitting in the basement on their phone, on the computer over there for days. You know, I mean, how often I have these people going, what's my kid doing down there? I don't want to disturb it, but he didn't come up for supper, didn't come up for lunch, come down over there, they're like sleeping, they're like on Facebook, on Instagram, they're for hours, and all their fake friends, and the guns, and you're like, I'm telling you something, there is a mission this kid has. This kid has to go through this ages and stages. You know, there's all kinds of stages that a child goes through. We have to let them. You have to try, obviously, different mahalchim, which everybody has their own mentor, how to exactly deal with a child. But the general statement is, the general rule is, every child has to go through whatever they have to go through, but eventually they're all going to shine in their own way. We've seen many people, anybody that's over 30, 40, 50 years old, and you look back, you've seen friends that were losers when they were 20, they're so successful when they're 40. And how many times did we see this successful, the top girl in class, the top this, the top that, you look 10 years later, they're like zombies. We don't know, everybody has their time and their thing. If your child is going through a struggle now, it's very painful. It's very hard to watch it, but you have to understand, there is a plan. But for me to help my child get to their plan and be successful, is I have to give them security, I have to give them love and confidence. These are the three things. You give it to them and you tell them, go out, whichever direction. You know, one child, you know how our children surprise us? I could think back of so many boys that I worked with in the last 17 years. Parents said, this child is a write-off. One child I remember was a dyslexic. He dropped out of school many times, and once he was in my office and I was on the phone with my insurance company, and I told him, write down, so I said, quickly write down the VIN number. And I saw he starts from one side and he finishes the other. He wasn't continuing. The VIN number has ABCs and numbers. And I said, you could read? He says, no. I spoke to his parents. They never identified. He was going through the whole elementary. This boy was like 13, 14 years. He has a good head, so certain times when he remembered, he was able to say, Omar Ravasha, Omar Ravasha. But he was never able to, they never knew he was dyslexic, like in a severe case. So I remember we worked with him back and forth, and the parents of Mamish, he's such a successful, financially successful in Gaman today, you wouldn't believe it. He's making a lot of nice numbers, nice 6 digits, very, very successful. So he has a secretary writing for him. Because I remember when I was sitting with his father and his mother, very, very Hasidic family, and I was telling them, just build this child, give them confidence that they could do something. He happens to be very smart, he knows how to negotiate. That was one of his, I remember. Now he's a shadchan for real estate deals, back and forth, and he makes commission off this one, that. He sits with Manhattan, his English is so broken, and but he's successful, he's shining, and you think his Yiddishkeit didn't come back, everything came back. Yiddishkeit, when we see our children falling in Yiddishkeit, that's not the problem. We only realize it then, unfortunately, that our children were already struggling with something way before, but when they start dropping this levish and that levish, they stop going to shul, they stop putting out tefillin with the girls in that way and this way, and tznius issues. That's not it, that's the way it comes out. There's something deeper, there's something that they need. But if they're going to feel very secure in your home, they're going to feel that my parents are here for me through thick and thin. They're here for me, I'm secure, my parents love me regardless. And my parents believe in me, they give me my confidence, they believe in me. Eventually, sometimes it's a longer process, but eventually They're going to come out stronger and better than before. They're going to be so successful in whichever direction, whichever way they have to, whichever Shevet they have to build up in Klal Yisrael. Shege Tavach.